My child, stop scrolling for just a moment. Before you move on, before you click away, before you tell yourself you'll listen later, I need you to hear me. This is not an ordinary message. This is not another video that appeared by chance. And this is not a coincidence. I brought you here, out of the millions of things you could be doing right now, out of the countless voices competing for your attention. You are here, hearing these words at this exact moment. Do not dismiss that. Do not rush past it. Because what I am about to tell you is something your heart has been longing to hear for a very long time. My child, I know you have been waiting for answers, waiting for peace, waiting for a breakthrough, waiting for something to change. Some days you tried to stay hopeful. Other days you wondered if anything would ever be different. You smiled when others were watching. You carried on when nobody knew how exhausted you truly felt. But I saw it all. I saw the nights when sleep would not come. I saw the worries you never spoke out loud. I saw the tears you wiped away before anyone noticed. I saw the questions hidden deep inside your heart. And I want you to know something today. You have not been waiting alone. I have been with you through every moment, even in the silence, even in the delays, even in the seasons when you felt forgotten. I was there. Closer than you realized, closer than your next breath. My beloved child, listen carefully, because there is something you do not see. While you have been praying, I have been working. While you have been waiting, I have been preparing. While you have been wondering if I heard you, heaven has been moving on your behalf. Things are happening behind the scenes that you cannot yet see. Doors are shifting. Obstacles are being removed. Pieces are coming together. And the answer you thought was delayed forever is much closer than you think. That is why I need your attention right now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now, because many of my children walk away moments before their breakthrough arrives. Many give up when the door is already beginning to open. Many stop believing when the miracle is already on its way. Do not make that mistake. Stay with me. Listen closely. There is a reason your spirit feels drawn to these words. There is a reason your heart is beating a little differently right now. There is a reason you felt compelled to stop and listen. It is because I am speaking directly to you. Yes, you. Not the person beside you. Not someone else. You. I know your name. I know your story. I know the burden you've been carrying. And today I have come to remind you of something the enemy desperately wants you to forget. You are not abandoned. You are not overlooked. You are not invisible. And your prayers have not been ignored. My child, the door you have been praying for is beginning to open. You may not see it yet. You may not understand how. But something is shifting. Something is changing. Something is moving in your favor. So before this message continues, I need you to make one simple decision. Do not let fear speak louder than faith. Do not let disappointment speak louder than my promises. And do not walk away now, because what comes next may be exactly what your heart has been waiting to hear. My child, there is something I need you to understand. Nothing you have gone through has escaped my sight. Not one tear, not one sleepless night, not one silent prayer whispered into the darkness. I saw it all. I saw the moments when you sat alone, wondering how much longer you could keep carrying the weight on your shoulders. I saw the mornings when you woke up already exhausted before the day had even begun. I saw the battles you fought inside your mind while everyone around you believed you were doing fine. You became so skilled at hiding your pain. You learned how to smile while your heart was hurting. You learned how to say, "I'm okay," even when you were falling apart inside. You learned how to carry burdens that were never meant for you to carry alone. But my child, I saw through every mask. I heard every silent cry. I felt every ache hidden deep within your soul. When disappointment broke your heart, I was there. When people walked away from you, I was there. When promises were broken, I was there. When you felt forgotten, I was there. Even during the moments when you questioned whether I was listening, I was closer than you realized. You may not remember every prayer you prayed, but I do. I remember the prayers spoken through tears. I remember the prayers spoken through frustration. I remember the prayers spoken when you had no strength left. I remember every single one. There were nights when you looked toward heaven and wondered if your words were reaching me. There were moments when silence became so heavy that you started questioning your own faith. You asked yourself, Lord, do you hear me? Lord, do you care? Lord, have you forgotten me? My beloved child, the answer has always been the same. No, I have never forgotten you. Not for a moment, not for a second, not for a single heartbeat. You are far too precious to me. You are far too loved. You are far too important. The world may overlook you. People may misunderstand you. Some may never recognize your value, but I know who you are. I know the kindness you've shown when nobody thanked you. I know the sacrifices you've made that nobody noticed. I know the tears you've hidden. I know the fears you've battled. I know the strength it took for you to keep going when everything inside you wanted to give up. And my child, I am proud of you for making it this far. You may not feel strong, but you are. You may not feel courageous, but you are. You may not see how far you've come, but I do. There were seasons that should have broken you completely, yet somehow you kept moving forward. There were storms that should have destroyed your hope, yet somehow a small flame continued burning inside you. Do you know why? Because I was protecting that flame. When you were too weak to hold on, I was holding on to you. When you thought your faith was gone, I was carrying you through the valley. When you believed you were walking alone, my hand was still upon your life. And now, my child, I need you to hear this carefully. The tears you cried were not wasted. The waiting was not wasted. The pain was not wasted. The disappointment was not wasted. I know it felt meaningless. I know it felt unfair. I know there were moments when you wanted answers more than anything else. But I have been using every season, every struggle, every setback to prepare you for something greater than you can currently imagine. What looked like a delay was preparation. What looked like silence was protection. What looked like rejection was redirection. And soon, very soon, you will begin to understand why I never abandoned the work I started in your life. So take a deep breath, my child. Let your heart be still for a moment, because there is something happening right now that you cannot yet see. And in the next part of this message, I am going to reveal what heaven has been doing behind the scenes while you thought nothing was changing. My child, if only you could see what I see. If only you could look beyond the disappointment, beyond the delay, beyond the unanswered questions. You would understand that nothing has been standing still. You have been looking at closed doors, but I have been looking at the doors that are about to open. You have been focusing on what did not happen. I have been preparing what is about to happen. You have been counting the days of waiting. I have been arranging the days ahead. My beloved child, heaven has never stopped moving on your behalf. Not for one moment. Even during the seasons when everything seemed silent. Even when your prayers appeared unanswered. Even when you thought your situation would never change. I was working. I was positioning people. I was removing obstacles. I was protecting you from things you knew nothing about. There are battles I fought for you that you never saw. There are dangers I prevented that you never knew existed. There are doors I closed because what was behind them would have wounded you. And there are doors I kept locked because the timing was not yet right. You called it rejection. I called it protection. You called it delay. I called it preparation. You called it silence. I called it divine work taking place behind the scenes. My child, there were things you asked for that would have harmed you if I had given them to you too soon. There were relationships you wanted to keep that would have pulled you away from your purpose. There were opportunities you desperately wanted that would have led you down the wrong path. And because I love you, I said no. Not to hurt you, not to punish you, but to protect the future I had planned for you. I know there were times when you could not understand my decisions. You wondered why certain doors closed. You wondered why certain people left. You wondered why certain plans fell apart. But today I need you to trust me. What fell apart was not greater than what I am building. What left your life was not greater than what is coming. What you lost is not greater than what I have prepared. My child, hear me carefully. There are blessings moving toward you right now. You cannot see them yet, but they are moving. There are answers already on their way. You cannot touch them yet, but they are coming. There are breakthroughs already being arranged. You cannot recognize them yet, but they are closer than you think. The enemy wants you to believe that nothing is changing, that everything will stay the same, that your prayers have accomplished nothing. But that is a lie, a dangerous lie. Because some of the greatest miracles happen underground before they ever become visible above the surface. Think of a seed. When a seed is planted, it appears as though nothing is happening. Days pass, sometimes weeks pass, and still there is no visible evidence. But beneath the soil, life is forming, roots are growing, strength is developing, preparation is taking place, and then suddenly, what was hidden becomes visible. My child, your situation is more like that seed than you realize. You have been staring at the soil. I have been watching the roots grow. You have been looking for evidence above the surface. I have been building something underneath that cannot be shaken. Do not mistake hidden work for absent work. Do not mistake silence for inactivity. Do not mistake waiting for abandonment. I have never abandoned you. I have never forgotten you, and I have never stopped working on your behalf. In fact, the very reason I brought you here today is because you are closer than you think, closer than you were last month, closer than you were last year, closer than you have ever been before. Something is shifting, something is aligning, something is beginning to move. And soon, the things that make no sense today will become part of a testimony you will share tomorrow. So do not lose heart. Do not stop believing. Do not walk away now. Because in the next part of this message, I am going to show you why this season of waiting is approaching its turning point, and why the door you've been praying for may be much nearer than you ever imagined. My child, I know there have been moments when you felt like giving up, moments when you wondered whether anything would ever change, moments when hope felt dangerous because you had been disappointed so many times before. You told yourself not to expect too much, not to believe too much, not to hope too much, because every time you hoped, it seemed like another delay followed. Every time you believed, another obstacle appeared. Every time you prayed, another challenge arose. And slowly, without even realizing it, you began lowering your expectations. You stopped expecting miracles. You stopped expecting breakthroughs. You stopped expecting good news. You convinced yourself that surviving was enough. But my child, I did not create you merely to survive. I created you to live. I created you to walk in peace. I created you to experience my goodness. I created you to know that I am faithful, even when circumstances tell a different story. Listen to me carefully now. The season you are in is not the season you will remain in. The chapter you are living is not the end of your story. What feels permanent today is only temporary. What feels impossible today is still possible with me. What feels delayed today is not denied. My beloved child, there is a reason I keep telling you not to walk away. There is a reason I keep asking you to stay close. There is a reason your spirit keeps returning to these words. Because you are standing nearer to your breakthrough than you realize. Closer than yesterday. Closer than last month. Closer than the moment you first began praying for this answer. You see the distance. I see the destination. You see the obstacle. I see the opening. You see the problem. I see the solution already forming. The enemy wants you to focus on what has not happened. I want you to focus on what is about to happen. There is a difference. A powerful difference. One perspective produces fear. The other produces faith. My child, I need your faith in this moment. Not perfect faith. Not giant faith. Just willing faith. Faith that says, Lord, I don't understand everything, but I trust you. Faith that says, Lord, I can't see the whole path, but I will take the next step. Faith that says, Lord, even if the answer has not arrived yet, I believe you are still working. That kind of faith moves heaven. That kind of faith keeps doors open. That kind of faith prevents discouragement from stealing what I am preparing. Right now, there are things shifting in the unseen realm. Conversations are taking place. Opportunities are being positioned. People are being moved into place. Circumstances are changing. And while you cannot yet see the full picture, I can. Nothing is random. Nothing is wasted. Nothing has escaped my control. The pieces that seem scattered are coming together. The confusion will give way to clarity. The waiting will give way to movement. The uncertainty will give way to direction. You may not know the day. You may not know the hour. But I need you to know this. The door is not as far away as you think. In fact, some of my children become discouraged because they judge their future by their current circumstances. Do not make that mistake. The greatest changes often happen right before they become visible. The darkest hour is often just before dawn. The final stretch often feels the hardest because the finish line is near. And that is exactly why the enemy has been fighting so hard to convince you to quit. He knows what is coming. He sees your potential. He sees the blessing approaching. He sees the restoration being prepared. And he fears what will happen when you finally realize that I have been guiding you all along. So do not let discouragement have the final word. Do not let fear write the ending of your story. Do not let temporary pain make permanent decisions for your future. Lift your eyes, my child. Take a deep breath, and remember who walks beside you. I am the God who opens doors no one can shut. I am the God who makes a way where there seems to be no way. I am the God who finishes what I begin. And what I have begun in your life, I have not abandoned. Not now, not ever. Before we continue, I want you to do something simple. If you are choosing faith over fear today, type AMN in the comments below. Let that be your declaration. Let that be your reminder. And let heaven hear your heart say, Lord, I still trust you. Because what I am about to reveal next is the very thing that has been trying to delay your breakthrough, and once you recognize it, you will understand why this season has felt so difficult. My child, now I need to reveal something important. The greatest obstacle standing between you and the door I am opening is not what you think it is. It is not your lack of talent. It is not your lack of resources. It is not your past mistakes. And it is not the circumstances surrounding you. The battle has been taking place somewhere much deeper. It has been taking place within your heart, within your thoughts, within the quiet conversations you have with yourself when no one else is listening. Because long before the enemy tries to stop your breakthrough, he tries to stop your belief. Long before he attacks your future, he attacks your faith. Long before he closes a door, he whispers lies into your mind. And for far too long, my child, you have been listening to voices that do not speak my truth. You have listened to fear. You have listened to disappointment. You have listened to doubt. You have listened to the painful memories of yesterday. And slowly those voices began shaping what you expected from tomorrow. You started believing that things would never change. You started believing that your prayers would remain unanswered. You started believing that perhaps this burden was simply your destiny. But hear me clearly. That was never my voice. I do not speak hopelessness over your life. I do not speak defeat over your future. I do not tell my children to give up. The voice that tells you it is too late is not mine. The voice that tells you nothing will improve is not mine. The voice that tells you you are forgotten is not mine. My voice brings peace. My voice brings hope. My voice brings life. My voice reminds you that I am still God even when circumstances appear unchanged. My child, there were moments when fear entered your heart and began building walls. Walls of self-protection. Walls of disappointment. Walls of skepticism. You told yourself, I won't get my hopes up. I won't expect anything. I won't believe too much. Because you were afraid of being hurt again. Afraid of being disappointed again. Afraid of waiting again. And I understand why. I know what you've been through. I know how many times life has wounded you. I know how many promises others have broken. I know how many times you trusted and ended up hurting. But my beloved child, if fear becomes your protector, it will also become your prison. The walls that keep pain out eventually keep blessings out too. The walls that keep disappointment away eventually block hope as well. And that is exactly what the enemy wants. He cannot stop my power. He cannot cancel my plans. He cannot erase your purpose. So, instead, he tries to convince you not to receive what I am sending. He tries to keep your eyes fixed on the storm. He tries to keep your attention fixed on the problem. He tries to make you forget that I am greater than everything standing against you. That is why this season has felt so exhausting. Because you have not only been fighting circumstances, you have been fighting discouragement, you have been fighting fear, you have been fighting the temptation to quit, And some days, my child, you came closer to giving up than anyone realizes. There were moments when you almost stopped praying, moments when you almost stopped believing, moments when you almost walked away from the very thing you had been asking me for. Yet somehow, you are still here, still listening, still seeking, still hoping. And that matters more than you know. Because every time you chose to keep going, even when it was difficult, your faith grew stronger. Every time you prayed despite your doubts, your roots grew deeper. Every time you stood back up after disappointment, you became more prepared for what is coming next. Listen carefully. The enemy's greatest fear is not your past. It is your future. He fears the person you are becoming. He fears what will happen when you finally realize how much authority, strength, and purpose I have placed within you. He fears the moment you stop listening to fear and start listening to me. And my child, I believe that moment is beginning right now. I believe something is shifting inside your heart. I believe chains of discouragement are starting to break. I believe hope is beginning to rise again, not because of what you see, but because of who I am. So today, make a choice. Do not let fear have the final word. Do not let disappointment become your identity. Do not let yesterday determine tomorrow. The story is not over. The door is not closed. And your breakthrough has not been canceled. In fact, what I am about to reveal next will show you why the waiting season is almost over and why heaven has been preparing something far greater than you have dared to imagine. My child, if there has ever been a time to hold on, it is now. If there has ever been a time to stay close to me, it is now. If there has ever been a time to refuse to give up, it is now. Because too many people walk away just before the breakthrough arrives. Too many people quit while the answer is already on its way. Too many people abandon the journey when they are only a few steps from the destination. Do not let that be your story. My beloved child, I know the waiting has been long. Longer than you expected. Longer than you prayed for. Longer than you believed you could endure. I know there were days when you thought, maybe it's never going to happen. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I should stop expecting anything. But I am asking you today to trust me one more time. Not because everything suddenly makes sense. Not because every question has been answered. Not because every obstacle has disappeared. But because I am still with you, and I have never failed those who place their trust in me. Listen carefully. The enemy wants you exhausted. Not because exhaustion itself is powerful, but because tired people are tempted to quit. Tired people stop expecting. Tired people lower their vision. Tired people settle for less than what I intended for them. That is why the battle has felt so intense. Not because you are losing, but because something valuable is ahead. The closer you move toward your purpose, the louder fear often becomes. The closer you move toward the door, the stronger doubt may try to speak. The closer you move toward your breakthrough, the harder discouragement may push against you. But do not mistake resistance for failure. Sometimes resistance is evidence that you are moving in the right direction. Think about all the times you almost gave up, yet here you are. Think about all the storms you thought would destroy you, yet here you are. Think about all the nights you cried yourself to sleep, yet here you are. Still standing, still breathing, still believing, still searching for my voice. My child, that is not weakness. That is strength. That is perseverance. That is faith continuing to live, even when circumstances try to suffocate it. And I want you to know that heaven sees every step you have taken, every prayer, every act of obedience, every moment you chose faith over fear, every moment you continued walking when you wanted to stop. Nothing has been overlooked. Nothing has been forgotten. Nothing has been wasted. I have been watching your journey from the very beginning. I saw the first prayer. I saw the first tear. I saw the first moment you placed your trust in me. And I have been guiding you ever since, even when you could not see my hand, even when you could not hear my voice, even when you believed you were walking through the valley alone. I was there. I am still here, and I will continue to be here. That is my promise. So today, I need you to make a decision. Do not surrender to discouragement. Do not surrender to fear. Do not surrender to hopelessness. Instead, surrender those burdens to me. Lay them at my feet. Stop carrying what was never yours to carry. Stop fighting battles that belong in my hands. Stop trying to control every outcome, and trust that I am able to do what you cannot. My child, there are blessings ahead that you cannot yet see. There are prayers that are closer to being answered than you realize. There are doors that are already beginning to move. You may hear nothing today. You may see no visible evidence today. But do not judge my work by what your eyes can currently see. I am working beyond your vision. I am working beyond your understanding. I am working beyond your timeline. And soon, what is hidden will become visible. Soon, what feels impossible will become reality. Soon, what seemed delayed will reveal its purpose. That is why I am asking you one more time. Do not walk away now. Do not stop praying now. Do not stop believing now. Do not stop trusting now. Because the very thing you have been asking me for may be much closer than you think. And before we continue, if you are choosing to stay faithful even in the waiting, type, I trust you, Lord. Let those words be more than a comment. Let them become a declaration of faith. Because what comes next may completely change the way you see this season of waiting and reveal the beautiful future heaven has been preparing for you all along. My child, now I want to speak to you about the future. Not the future fear has been showing you. Not the future worry has been painting in your mind. Not the future disappointment has tried to convince you is coming. I want to show you the future I have been preparing. Because while you have been focused on surviving the present, I have been preparing what comes next. And what comes next is greater than you realize. My beloved child. One of the reasons the waiting season felt so long is because I was doing more than answering a prayer. I was preparing a person. You. You asked for a blessing. I was building character. You asked for an opportunity. I was building wisdom. You asked for a breakthrough. I was building strength. Because if I had given you everything too soon, you would not have been ready to sustain it. The blessing would have arrived before the preparation. The opportunity would have appeared before the maturity. The answer would have come before the foundation. And my child, I love you too much to allow that. I am not only interested in giving you something, I am interested in preparing you to keep it. That is why some seasons took longer than you expected. Not because I was absent, not because I was ignoring you, but because I was working on things that could not be rushed. There are lessons that only waiting can teach. There is wisdom that only surrender can produce. There is strength that only perseverance can build. And now, because of everything you have walked through, you are not the same person you once were. You are stronger. You are wiser. You are more resilient. You are more dependent upon me. And you are closer to receiving what I have prepared. Listen carefully. The door I am opening may not look exactly like the one you imagined. The blessing may arrive differently than you expected. The answer may come through a path you never considered. But do not let that trouble you. Because my plans are greater than your expectations. My vision is greater than your perspective. And what I have prepared is greater than what you have lost. Some of my children spend so much time mourning closed doors that they fail to recognize the new door standing in front of them. Do not make that mistake. Do not keep staring at what is behind you. Do not keep reliving old disappointments. Do not keep measuring your future by your past. The chapter ahead is not a repetition of the chapter behind. Something new is beginning. Something fresh is emerging. Something beautiful is taking shape. You may not see all of it yet, but you will. And when you do, you will understand why I asked you to trust me. You will understand why certain people had to leave, why certain plans had to fail, why certain delays had to happen. You will look back and see my fingerprints on moments that once felt confusing. You will see that I was guiding you even when you felt lost, protecting you even when you felt vulnerable, leading you even when the path seemed unclear. My child, there is healing I have prepared. Healing for wounds nobody knows about. Healing for disappointments you still carry. Healing for burdens that have weighed down your heart. There is peace I have prepared. Not temporary peace that depends on circumstances, but deep peace that remains even when life becomes uncertain. There is restoration I have prepared. Areas of your life that seemed broken beyond repair. Areas you almost stopped praying about. Areas you believed would never change. I am still able to restore them, and there is purpose I have prepared. A purpose bigger than fear, bigger than failure, bigger than the mistakes of your past. You are not here by accident. You were created intentionally. You were called intentionally. And the plans I have for you are still alive, even now, especially now. That is why I need you to keep your heart open, keep your eyes lifted, keep your faith alive, because heaven is preparing things your eyes have not yet seen. And before we continue, I want to ask you something. If God has carried you through every storm you've survived, type, God has been faithful. Let that be your testimony. Let that be your reminder. Because in the next part of this message, I am going to reveal why heaven is waiting for one important decision from you before the next door fully opens. My child, there is something many people do not understand. Heaven can prepare a door. Heaven can prepare an opportunity. Heaven can prepare a blessing. But there are moments when heaven waits for a response, a decision, a step of faith, a willingness to move forward. And I believe you are standing in one of those moments right now. Listen carefully. For a long time, you have been asking me to change your circumstances. But today, I am asking you to make a choice. Will you trust me? Not when everything becomes clear, not when every prayer is answered, not when every fear disappears, but now, in this moment, because faith is not believing after you see. Faith is believing before you see. Anyone can celebrate after the miracle arrives. Anyone can trust after the breakthrough appears. But faith chooses to trust while the door is still opening. And that is where many people struggle. They say they trust me, but fear still controls their decisions. They say they believe, but disappointment still controls their expectations. They say they have faith, but they continue living as though nothing will ever change. My child, I am calling you into something greater. I am calling you to agree with what heaven says about your future. Not what fear says. Not what circumstances say, not what your past says, but what I say. And what I say is this: you are not stuck. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified. You are not abandoned. You are not too late. The enemy has spent far too long trying to convince you otherwise. He has reminded you of every mistake, every failure, every disappointment, every prayer that seemed unanswered. Why? Because if he can keep your focus on the past, he can distract you from the future. If he can keep your eyes on the wound, he can keep you from seeing the healing. If he can keep your attention on the closed door, he can keep you from noticing the new one opening. But today I am asking you to lift your eyes. Look beyond the fear. Look beyond the delay. Look beyond what appears impossible. Because heaven sees something you do not yet see. A path is forming. A way is opening. A shift is occurring. Even now, as you listen to these words, even now, as doubts try to battle your faith, even now, as questions remain unanswered, something is moving. And my child, there is another truth I need you to understand. You do not have to have everything figured out. You do not need a perfect plan. You do not need perfect confidence. You do not need perfect faith. You simply need a willing heart. A heart that says, Lord, I will follow you. A heart that says, Lord, I trust you more than I trust my fear. A heart that says, Lord, even if I cannot see the next 10 steps, I will take the next one. That is the decision heaven is waiting for. Not perfection, surrender, not certainty, trust, not complete understanding, faith, because once you place your hand in mine, I can lead you where you could never go alone. I can open what no person can open. I can restore what no person can restore. I can create opportunities that no human effort could manufacture. But first, I need your agreement, your willingness, your yes. My beloved child, many people spend their lives standing in front of open doors because fear convinces them not to walk through. Do not be one of them. Do not allow fear to keep you in a season I am asking you to leave. Do not allow old wounds to stop you from embracing new blessings. Do not allow yesterday's disappointments to steal tomorrow's miracles. The future I have prepared requires courage, not because the journey will be easy, but because the reward will be worth it. And right now, as you listen to this message, heaven is watching your response. The angels are watching. Your future is waiting. Your purpose is calling. And the decision is closer than you think. One choice. One prayer, one act of faith. That is often all it takes to begin a completely new chapter. So before we continue, I want you to pause for a moment and declare this from your heart. Yes, Lord, I trust your plan. Write it in the comments if you believe God is leading you into a new season. And remember this, the door is opening, the opportunity is approaching, the breakthrough is nearer than ever before. But in the next part of this message, I am going to reveal why the next few moments are so important, and why one decision can change the direction of your life in ways you never imagined. My child, I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine standing in front of a door you have prayed for, a door you have cried for, a door you have waited for through seasons of uncertainty, disappointment, and doubt. Now imagine that door beginning to move, slowly, quietly, almost imperceptibly. Many people would miss it. Many people would walk away before noticing it. Many people would become so focused on their frustration that they would fail to recognize that the answer had already begun to arrive. Do not let that happen to you, because the next few moments are more important than you realize. Not because of the words you are hearing, but because of the decision forming inside your heart. You see, my child, life rarely changes all at once. More often it changes because of one decision, one choice to keep going, one choice to trust, one choice to forgive, one choice to believe again, one choice to stop living in fear, one choice to surrender control, one choice to take the next step. And what seems small in the moment often becomes the turning point that changes everything. Think about it. A seed becomes a tree because it chooses to grow. A journey begins because someone takes a first step. A new chapter starts because someone turns the page. And many miracles begin because someone finally says yes to me. My child, I believe you are standing at one of those moments. Not next year, not someday. Now, right now, there is a decision before you. Will you continue looking backward, or will you trust me with what lies ahead? Will you continue allowing fear to lead you, or will you allow faith to guide you? Will you continue carrying burdens alone, or will you place them in my hands? Because where your focus goes, your future often follows. If you focus only on your wounds, you will struggle to see your healing. If you focus only on your losses, you will struggle to see your blessings. If you focus only on closed doors, you may miss the one opening in front of you. My child, I know change can feel frightening. Even good change. Even answered prayers. Even new opportunities. Because every new season requires leaving something familiar behind. But hear me carefully. The season behind you cannot compare to the season ahead of you. The pain behind you cannot compare to the peace I am preparing. The struggle behind you cannot compare to the strength you have gained. And the waiting behind you cannot compare to the joy that is coming. That is why I am asking you to make a decision today, not tomorrow, not when everything becomes easier. Today, choose faith, choose hope, choose trust, choose to believe that I am still writing your story. Because the enemy wants you frozen. He wants you trapped between fear and doubt. He wants you stuck in the same place year after year. But I am calling you forward. Forward into healing, forward into growth, forward into purpose, forward into the life I created you to live. And my child, there is something powerful about making a decision before you see the outcome. That is where faith becomes real. That is where trust becomes genuine. That is where breakthroughs often begin. One prayer, one surrender, one act of obedience, one decision. Sometimes that is all it takes. One heartbeat, one moment, one choice. And the direction of a life can change forever. So I want you to pause right now. Take a deep breath and ask yourself this question. What is God asking me to trust Him with today? Whatever comes to your heart, place it in my hands. Do not hold it back. Do not cling to it. Release it. Trust me with it, because what I am preparing is far greater than what you are afraid of losing. And as we move into the final part of this message, I want you to remember this. The door is opening. The path is appearing. The season is shifting. And the breakthrough you have been praying for may be closer than it has ever been before. Stay with me, because what I need to tell you next may be the reminder your soul has been waiting to hear all along. My child, as this message comes to a close, there is one final truth I need you to carry with you. A truth that the enemy has tried desperately to hide from you. A truth that fear has tried to silence. A truth that disappointment has tried to bury beneath years of waiting. You were never forgotten, not once, not for a single day, not for a single hour, not for a single heartbeat. Even during the moments when you felt invisible, even during the moments when your prayers seemed unanswered, even during the moments when life felt unfair, I knew exactly where you were. I knew exactly what you were carrying. I knew exactly how much strength it took for you to keep moving forward. My child, I have counted every tear. I have heard every prayer. I have seen every battle. Nothing about your journey has been hidden from me. Nothing. The world may have overlooked you. People may have underestimated you. Some may have walked away from you. Others may have failed to recognize your value. But I never did. I never stopped seeing you. I never stopped loving you. I never stopped working on your behalf. And even now, as you listen to these words, my hand is still upon your life. Listen carefully. The waiting season is not your identity. The struggle is not your identity. The disappointment is not your identity. The pain is not your identity. Your identity is found in me. You are loved. You are chosen. You are seen. You are known. You are valued. You are my child. And because you are my child, your story does not end in defeat. Your story does not end in fear. Your story does not end in hopelessness. Your story does not end with a closed door. There is still another chapter to be written. There is still another prayer to be answered. There is still another miracle to unfold. There is still another testimony to tell. I know you cannot see the entire picture, but you do not need to. You only need to trust the one who does. You only need to trust the one who has been guiding you from the beginning. You only need to trust the one who has never left your side. My beloved child, one day you will look back on this season. You will remember the tears. You will remember the waiting. You will remember the uncertainty, but you will also remember my faithfulness. You will remember how I carried you when you thought you could not continue. You will remember how I provided when you thought there was no way. You will remember how I opened doors you never could have opened yourself. And when that day comes, you will understand something powerful. The delay was not punishment. The waiting was not abandonment. The silence was not rejection. It was preparation. Preparation for the very thing I am bringing into your life. So today, release your fear. Release your worry. Release your need to understand every detail. And simply trust me. Trust me one more day. Trust me one more prayer. Trust me one more step. Because what I have prepared for you is worth the wait. And the door you have been praying for is closer than you think. Closer than yesterday. Closer than last month. Closer than it has ever been before. So lift your head, my child. Take a deep breath. And walk forward with confidence. Because I am with you. I have always been with you. And I always will be. If this message spoke directly to your heart today, type Amen in the comments and declare, I trust God's timing. Let that be your act of faith. Let that be your reminder that God is still working, even when you cannot see it. And if you know someone who is tired, discouraged, or waiting for a breakthrough, share this message with them today. You never know whose faith might be restored by a simple act of kindness. Thank you for being part of this family of faith. And if these messages encourage you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a message God may have prepared for you. Remember, the door is opening, the season is shifting, the breakthrough is coming, and God is not finished with your story. May God's peace, favor, and protection be with you always. Amen.